My brother stood up at our mother's birthday dinner, raised his wine glass, and said the thing he'd been saying my entire adult life. To Mom, who raised a doctor, a lawyer, and well, let's just say 2 out of 3 isn't bad. Everyone laughed. They always laughed. Because that's what you do when Marcus Hayes makes a joke at his sister's expense. You laugh, or you sit in the awkward silence until someone else does. I was 31 years old, sitting at a table with my family, and I was still just the waitress. Not the daughter who'd worked doubles to help pay Mom's medical bills. Not the sister who'd shown up for every crisis while they were too busy building careers. Just the waitress. The disappointment. The punchline. But 6 weeks later, I wouldn't be sitting at a table serving wine. I'd be sitting in a lawyer's office with a cashier's check for $73,000, saving our mother's house from foreclosure, while my doctor brother and lawyer sister sat there with nothing but explanations for why they couldn't help. They called me just a waitress. They had no idea that being just a waitress had taught me more about managing money than their fancy degrees ever would. Welcome back to Hidden Family Revenge, where the one they underestimate is always the one who saves the day. If you've ever been dismissed for honest work, this one's for you. Drop a comment and don't forget to subscribe. You have to understand what a family like the Hayes family is in a community like ours. Education is everything. Professional success is the measuring stick. My father, before he died, had been a university professor. My mother taught high school English for 35 years. Achievement wasn't just encouraged, it was expected. My older brother Marcus became a cardiologist. My younger sister Lauren became a corporate attorney. They went to prestigious schools, did prestigious internships, married prestigious people. They were exactly what my parents had raised them to be. And then there was me. I started college. I really did. 2 years at state school, studying business. But halfway through sophomore year, my father got sick. Cancer, aggressive, expensive. My mother was trying to work and care for him and keep the house and pay medical bills that insurance barely touched. Someone needed to help. Marcus was in medical school. Lauren was in undergrad on track for law school. They had futures to protect. So I came home. I took a job waitressing at a higher-end restaurant downtown. I told myself it was temporary. My father died 8 months later. By then, I'd gotten good at the work. Really good. I'd moved up to head server, then to trainer. The money was decent, especially when you worked the right shifts and built regular clientele. I told myself I'd go back to school. Told myself every year. But my mother needed help with the mortgage. Then the roof needed replacing. Then her car died. There was always something, and Marcus and Lauren were always busy building careers, and I was always there picking up shifts, writing checks, filling the gap. When are you going back to finish your degree? My mother would ask gently. Soon, I'd say. We both knew I wouldn't. By the time I was 25, I'd accepted it. I was a career server. I was good at it. I made decent money. I helped people, created good experiences, built relationships with regulars who requested my section. It was honest work. But to my family, it wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Marcus introduced me at events as my sister. She's in the restaurant industry. Like I managed a chain instead of carrying plates. Lauren told people I was between things, even after I'd been serving for 10 years. My mother loved me, but I could see the disappointment every time someone asked what I did and she had to say waitress, after bragging about the doctor and the lawyer. The jokes started sometime around my late 20s. Little comments. Marcus asking if I could get him a good table at my restaurant. Lauren joking about how I must be saving so much money living the simple life. The truth was I was saving money. A lot of it. Because when you grow up watching your parents drown in medical debt, you learn to be careful. I lived in a small apartment. Drove an old car. Didn't take vacations or buy designer things. I put 15% of every paycheck into savings, every single month, for 10 years. My siblings thought I was broke. They had no idea I had more liquid cash than both of them combined. They were leveraged, stretched thin, paying for the houses and cars and lifestyles that matched their titles. I was just a waitress living below her means. The birthday dinner was typical. Marcus talking about a surgery he'd performed. Lauren discussing a case she'd won. My mother asking polite questions, beaming with pride. And me, sitting quietly, waiting for the meal to end. When Marcus made his toast, the 2 out of 3 joke, I smiled. I'd learned to smile through it. Getting upset only made it worse, made me seem sensitive, made them tell me to take a joke. I went home that night and didn't think much of it. It was just another dinner. Another reminder that I'd never measure up. Then, 3 weeks later, my mother called crying. She'd gotten a foreclosure notice. The house, the one we'd grown up in, the one my father had died in, was 3 months behind on payments. The bank was starting proceedings. I drove over immediately. Found her at the kitchen table with papers spread everywhere, shaking. "I didn't want to worry you kids," she said. I thought I could handle it. I picked up the foreclosure notice. She owed $73,000. Not just the missed payments, but a balloon payment from a refinance she'd done years ago to cover my father's final medical bills. It had come due and she didn't have it. "Mom, why didn't you tell us?" "I didn't want to burden you. Marcus and Lauren have their own families, their own expenses. And you work so hard already." Translation: she'd asked them. They'd said no, or made excuses, or explained why it wasn't a good time. And she hadn't even bothered asking me, because what could a waitress do? "How long do we have?" I asked. 60 days. Maybe 90, if I can get an extension. "But Emma, I don't have $73,000. I don't even know where I'd start." I looked at my mother, at the house around us, at the kitchen table where we'd eaten 1,000 meals, where my father had done crosswords every Sunday, where I'd learned to calculate percentages doing tip math as a kid. "I do," I said quietly. She looked up. "What?" "I have it. I can pay this." My mother stared at me like I'd spoken another language. "Emma, you can't possibly. You're a waitress, sweetheart. This is $73,000. There it was. Even from her. Even now. The assumption that a waitress couldn't possibly have real money. "I've been saving for 10 years, Mom. I have it. In a high-yield savings account. I can write you a check tomorrow. But that's your money. Your future. This house is your future. And I'm not letting you lose it." She started crying again, but different this time. "I can't ask you to do this."
"You didn't ask."
"I'm offering." "Marcus and Lauren aren't here," I said firmly. "I am, and I have the money. So let me help." What I didn't say, I wanted to see their faces when they found out. Wanted them to know that the waitress, the disappointment, the punchline, had saved what they couldn't. The next morning, I called a family meeting. Told Marcus and Lauren it was urgent about Mom's house. They both showed up that evening, concerned but clearly annoyed at the inconvenience. We sat in Mom's living room. I let her explain the situation. Watched Marcus and Lauren's faces shift from concern to discomfort when she got to the number. 73,000, Marcus repeated. "Mom, why didn't you tell us sooner?" "I didn't want to burden you," she said again, quieter this time. Lauren pulled out her phone, started calculating. "If we each took a third, that's about 24,000 each. I could maybe do 10 now, and the rest over time, if we set up a payment plan with the bank." "They won't do a payment plan," I said. "It's due in full. 60 days. Marcus rubbed his face. "I don't have 24,000 liquid. We just bought the lake house, and with the kids' private school tuition. I'm in the middle of a refinance," Lauren cut in. "All my cash is tied up. I could try to take a loan against my 401k, but that would take weeks to process, and the penalties." They were doing math, making excuses, explaining why they couldn't. I let them talk themselves in circles for 5 minutes. Then I set my checkbook on the coffee table. "I'll cover it," I said. The room went quiet. "What?" Marcus said. I said I'll cover it. The full amount. I can write the check today. Lauren blinked. "Emma, you don't have that kind of money." "Actually, I do."
"How?"
Marcus asked, and there was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Confusion. Maybe embarrassment. "I've been saving 15% of my income for 10 years, I said calmly. "I live below my means. No car payment, no mortgage, no debt. Just rent and expenses and savings. Turns out, when you don't spend every dollar you make trying to look successful, you actually build security." The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. "You have $73,000, Lauren said slowly. "You're a waitress, and you have $73,000 liquid." "I'm a waitress who knows how to manage money," I corrected. "Which, apparently, is more than either of you can say." Marcus's face went red. "That's not fair. We have expenses."
"So do I."
"I just prioritized differently. You prioritized looking successful. I prioritized being stable. And now, the stable one is saving Mom's house while you're explaining why you can't." My mother put her hand on mine. "Emma, you don't have to do this." "Yes, I do." I looked at my siblings. "But I'm not doing it for free." "What does that mean?" Lauren asked carefully. I'd spent 3 weeks thinking about this since Mom first told me. Thinking about all the years of jokes, of dismissal, of being treated like I didn't contribute because my contribution didn't come with a degree. "It means I pay the balloon payment. The house gets put in my name." Marcus stood up. "Absolutely not. That's Mom's house." "That's the bank's house in 60 days, I said. "I pay it off, it becomes mine. Mom lives here rent-free for as long as she wants. But the deed transfers to me." "You're taking advantage of her," Lauren said, voice sharp. "I'm saving her house with my money while you do nothing," I shot back. "That's not taking advantage. That's setting terms." My mother was quiet for a long moment. Then, "What happens to the house after I'm gone?" "It stays mine," I said. "I'm not splitting my $73,000 investment 3 ways so you two can sell it and pocket the profit. I pay for it, I own it. That's the deal." "This is ridiculous," Marcus said. "We're family. You don't put conditions on helping family." I looked at him. Really looked at him. "You've spent 10 years making me the punchline. 2 out of 3 isn't bad, remember? Just a waitress. Living the simple life. You've made it very clear I'm not on your level. So no, I'm not treating this like family. I'm treating it like business." "Emma," my mother started. "Mom, I love you. You can live in this house until you die. But I'm not giving away $73,000 and then watching them sell it and take a third. I'm not a charity. I'm an investor. Those are my terms." My mother looked at Marcus and Lauren, waited for one of them to offer an alternative, to say they'd find the money, they'd figure it out, they'd save her house themselves. Neither of them said a word. "Okay," my mother said quietly. "Transfer it to your name." Marcus looked betrayed. "Mom, you can't be serious." "She's the only one offering to help," my mother said, voice steady now. "And she's right. She's investing her own savings. Why should she risk that just to split it with you later when you've contributed nothing?" Lauren tried one more time. "If you give us a few months." "The foreclosure notice is 60 days, I said. "Not a few months. And even if you found the money, you'd expect Mom to keep the house in her name so you could inherit your third later. I'm offering to pay now, in full, with terms. Take it or find another option." They didn't have another option. We all knew it. 2 weeks later, I sat in a lawyer's office with my mother and signed the paperwork. I wrote a check for $73,000. The house was transferred to my name, with a life estate for my mother. She could live there forever. But it was mine. Marcus and Lauren didn't come to the signing. They were busy. The news spread through the family quietly. My aunt called, confused, asking if it was true I'd bought Mom's house. I explained the situation. She went silent, then said, "I always knew you were the smart one." My uncle, Marcus's godfather, called him directly and asked why he'd let his waitress sister outperform him. I heard about that conversation later. Marcus didn't bring it up at Christmas. The joke stopped. Not immediately, but gradually. Marcus stopped making comments about my job. Lauren stopped calling my life simple. Because they both knew now that the waitress had savings they didn't have and had saved something they couldn't. My mother tried to apologize once, a few months later. We were having coffee in her kitchen, my kitchen technically, and she said she was sorry for underestimating me. "I never thought you were struggling," she said. "I just thought you could have done more. Been more." "I am more," I said gently. "I've always been more. You just couldn't see it because it didn't look like what you expected success to look like." She nodded, tearing up. You saved my home. I saved my investment, I said.
But yes.
And I'm glad I could. I meant it. I wasn't angry at her the way I was at my siblings. She'd loved me, even when she didn't understand me. That was different from Marcus and Lauren, who just dismissed me. Marcus tried to rebuild the relationship about a year later. Called and asked if we could have lunch. We met at a place downtown, not my restaurant, somewhere neutral. I was wrong, he said after we'd ordered. About a lot of things. About how I treated you. About what I said. Okay, I said. I don't know what I thought. That because you didn't finish college. You weren't successful. That waiting tables meant you weren't smart with money. I was wrong. You were, I agreed. He waited for me to say more. I didn't. Can we move past it? He asked finally.
We are past it, I said.
This is what past it looks like. We're polite. We're civil. We show up for holidays. But I'm not going back to being your punchline, and I'm not pretending the last 10 years didn't happen. I said I was sorry. And I'm saying I heard you. But sorry doesn't mean everything goes back to how it was. It just means you regret how it was. That's different. He nodded slowly, picked at his food. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you did for Mom. I didn't do it for pride, I said. I did it because I could. Because I'd been responsible when it mattered. We finished lunch. It was fine. Not warm, but not hostile. Just realistic. That's where we are now. Realistic. Lauren took longer. Almost 2 years before she called. She wanted to talk about the house, about what happened when Mom eventually passed, about whether I'd consider selling and splitting the proceeds. No, I said simply. Emma, it's a family home that I own, that I paid for, that you couldn't afford to save. That was a difficult time financially. It's always a difficult time financially when you live beyond your means, I said. I'm not selling the house to fund your lifestyle. When Mom passes, I'll probably rent it out. Maybe I'll live in it myself. I haven't decided. But I'm not selling it and giving you a third of my $73,000 investment. She was quiet. Then, you've changed.
No, I said.
I just stopped accepting your version of who I am. I was never the disappointment. I was just different. And different turned out to be more stable than either of you. She hung up not long after. We don't talk much now. I'm okay with that. My mother is still in the house. Still healthy. We have dinner once a week, and she stopped asking when I'm going back to school. Stopped apologizing for how things turned out. She sees me now. Really sees me. I'm still a waitress. Still at the same restaurant. I make good money.
I'm respected.
I train new staff and mentor young servers and help people create good experiences. And I own a house worth $300,000 mortgage-free. My savings account has rebuilt. Not to where it was, but it's growing. Because I still live below my means. Still save 15%. Still prioritize security over appearance. When people ask what I do, I tell them I'm a server. I don't qualify it. Don't apologize for it. It's honest work, and it's kept me more stable than most people with fancy titles. Last month, Marcus's daughter asked me for advice. She's in college, stressed about money, worried about student loans that I took her to coffee and taught her about budgeting. My dad says you're really smart with money, she said. I smiled. Your dad used to make fun of me for being cheap. I'm not a genius. I'm just a waitress who paid attention. Who learned that tips are unpredictable, so you save the good nights for the bad ones. Who watched my parents drown in debt and decided I'd never do that. Who chose security over status. They called me a disappointment, called me just a waitress. And then I saved our mother's house with money they didn't have, and suddenly simple didn't look so disappointing. Some families respect you for your titles. Some respect you for your income. And some only respect you when you do something they can't. Mine needed a house saved. I had the money. Not because I was lucky, but because I'd been disciplined for 10 years while they were being impressive. I didn't save the house to prove something. I saved it because I could, and because my mother needed help. The waitress had more savings than the doctor and the lawyer combined. The disappointment was the only one stable enough to handle a crisis. The punchline became a hero, and they had to watch it happen and know they couldn't have done the same. I still work Friday and Saturday nights. Still take orders and carry plates and smile at customers. And I still own a house worth more than most people make in 5 years. Honest work pays. Not always in prestige, but in stability. And when the crisis comes, stability is what saves you. If your family has ever dismissed you for the work you do, remember this. Let them laugh. Let them make their jokes. Just keep saving.
Keep building.
Keep being responsible. Because someday they'll need something, and you'll be the only one who has it. And on that day, the disappointment gets to set the terms. If this one landed, share it. Tell me in the comments what job you've been dismissed for. And subscribe to Hidden Family Mystery, where the underestimated ones always save the day.